Hey, and hello, and thanks for watching. Let me ask you if any of you guys have had this problem. You go out, you work on a search, got a search assignment, you work your butt off, you go to send resumes, you get ghosted. Worse yet, a couple weeks later, they get back to you and like, oh, the position was filled or canceled. The president's frat brother, the VP of sales sorority sister got the job. We feel really bad, but thanks for nothing. Um, Really what happens is you've had days, if not weeks, of wasted effort because you took a search and as hard as you worked on it, the position went away. And, in the contingency world, what we see is typically a ratio of anywhere from 5 or 6 openings to 1 assignment, meaning even at 5 to 1, you're working on 4 things and getting 1 filled. And that was my life for about 8 years, my first 8 years in the business. And I just remember thinking, I cannot survive in this business for the next 10, 20 years working like this in this somewhat randomness of these placements. I want to be paid for my time. I want to be paid for my expertise and my effort, as you should want to too. So most recruiting firms are afraid to ask for money up front. When I ask people, why don't you get more retainers? They're like, well, I'm worried about losing a good contingency assignment. We can always revert to a good contingency assignment. And when you do things the right way, you're actually going to get much better contingency assignments because you're probably going to do, when you walk through some of the things I'm going to talk about here in the next couple of minutes, you'll tighten up the expectations with the client and you'll have better commitments from them. So let me ask you, because this is real important. Most people don't get this, and I didn't either until kind of a light went on after I started doing it. When someone gives you money up front, what are they really buying? So when I ask this in front of a live audience, I'll ask that question. People say things like your time, true, but not the real reason. They don't really care about your time. Your expertise, probably a little bit of that. There's probably something you've demonstrated in your ability to fill the job. But I get time, expertise, effort. They don't care about your effort. What do people really buy? When you think about it, when you give somebody else money for something, what you've bought is a degree of certainty you're going to get something back. So in our world is when they give you money up front, in their head, something you've done has convinced them with less risk that the position is going to get filled. So they buy the position filled. It's very important to know that. So how do we get there? How do we get them to understand that the position will be filled? A lot of people ask me, Mike, how do you pitch, by the way, they say, I hate that word. How do you pitch retainers? And I'm like, you don't. The way you sell retainers is by asking phenomenal questions in the right sequence. Great questions uncover problems and create awareness in your buyer's eye. You see, by asking questions, you lead the client with great questions to uncover for themselves that the way they're working on filling the position is actually more expensive than working with you on your fee with money up front. And as a mentor of mine taught me years ago, in a buyer's mind, or in the client's mind, the one who understands their problem the best, before you even get to solution, in the buyer's mind is probably the best one to solve the problem. Meaning, if you really go in and understand their problem really well, in the buyer's mind, it's going to be like, we need to hire this recruiting company because they really understand what our problem is because they probably know how to fill it. So again, you ask a series of questions, you help them discover for themselves that it's actually more expensive to work on contingency. This is what I did all the time. I went from like 5% retained to 97% retained in less than 2 years. So after the great questions, you go to a very strong prescription. Really what you do is you outline your search process, and we have that outlined in our programs. Okay, Mr. or Ms. Prospect, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put our research team on this. We're going to go through and identify 80 to 100 people. We're going to go through that list. You go through all the steps that you would do to fill the search through the offer and the transition. So strong diagnosis, which is asking the great questions, followed by a strong prescription. And then the third step is you negotiate, you basically price it, right? So you say, Mr. and Ms. Hiring Manager said, here were your problems. Here were the consequences for the position remaining open. Here's how much it was going to cost you. And here's, as we said, we went through our prescription. You like that process. For us to implement that represents an investment of 28.6% of the individual's first year's base salary with a upfront non-refundable deposit of $7,000. And that $7,000, of course, will be applied 100% to the 28.6% fee. And that allows us to invest our time and resources into the search in the process that I outlined. Now, are you the one authorized to approve that, or do we need to get other members of your team involved in the process? And the key here is don't let them take it to HR by themselves or to a CFO by themselves and resell what you just sold, because they're going to do a horrible job of it. You have to set up a joint meeting where you're part of the process and actually start over with that, whoever that third party that has sign-off is. So that's really kind of, in a nutshell, the process of selling retainers. We've mapped this process out step by step in much more detail over a few hours actually of training. We have it in our training program. We have it actually as a standalone training program. We have it also as part of our mentoring programs. And if this resonates with you and you want to take a shift from being kind of beaten up contingency, what we do is we help recruiting firm owners go from overwhelmed to clarity. We have processes for that. We have them help them go from roller coaster revenues to predictable income. And we have them go with really what we just talked about in this quick video is from annoying vendor to trusted advisor. There's a process for each one of those to see if or how we can help. What I would advise you do, depending on where you're watching this, is you can reply to the email that you click through and just say, hey, I'd like to have a quick chat to see how you guys can help, no pressure. Or you can email Mike G, M-I-K-E, G as in George, at therecruiteru, as in university.com, and say, hey, I watched the retainer video. I'd like to learn more. Someone on our team will get back to you. And again, we'll explore if or how anything we've got in our portfolio can help you. And there might, even in the email, there might be a calendar link with somebody on our team. You can just click that and schedule that. So those 3 easy ways to get a hold of us. I look forward to talking with you and helping you really kind of take your business to the next level. And instead of filling 1 in 5 searches, filling 9 out of 10. Okay. And in that 10th one, by the way, you're still going to have $7,000 even when it didn't get filled. And you'll never, if you do it the right way, you'll never have a client complain or ask for that money back. Again, thanks for watching, and watch out for the next video. Bye now.